Did you fall in love with that new model home? My wife Paula loves almost every model home she tours. On this episode of Your Tampa Realtors, we are going to cover a few tips that can make buying that new construction home a little bit less stressful. Hi, I'm Mike Lavoie with Dalton Wade Real Estate. If you're here for the first time, please click the subscribe button below and the notification bell if you would like to be alerted to our next video. I've talked about it before. We absolutely love working with new construction, and we love representing buyers with their new construction home purchase. Buying a pre-existing home versus a new construction home, well, they're two different animals and two different processes. So today we're going to go over a couple of tips that you can use to make this process a little less stressful. There are two basic types of new home builders. Those that are a large developer, building an entire subdivision, they're called a planned urban development, versus a small custom home builder that might be building one or two houses at a time. These two types of purchases are completely different on their own. The conversation today is going to cover the larger developer. I'll go over the smaller custom builder in a later video. Okay, so let's get started. Number one, use a realtor. Yes, us realtors represent buyers in new construction all the time. It can be confusing to the public. You go into the model center, you talk to the salesperson. That salesperson can answer any question about the home and the process. But that salesperson works for the builder. They have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the builder. You should want to have that same protection. Only an independent realtor can provide that. If it's possible, pick your realtor prior to visiting the model home site. Why? If you register with the salesperson at the model home site by filling out one of their guest cards and you don't indicate that you're working with a realtor, they might not want to work with your realtor later on in the process. Don't get me wrong, most builders are very happy to work with a real estate agent. It transfers some of the liability of that transaction to that realtor. However, it can be very frustrating for the builder if you, as the buyer, come into the design center 2 or 3 times, pick out your floor plan, select all your options, whatever, get down to signing the document, and then spring a realtor on them just so they can check the numbers. And from your realtor's perspective, we don't want to be brought into the end of the deal either. The advice we have is valuable and should be used throughout the entire process. Let us help you from the beginning. So here's what I would tell my buyers. If you happen to be out riding around on the weekend and you stop in at the model home center and look at some of the homes, without me, which happens all the time, just tell the salesperson you have a realtor. It's that easy. If you have your realtor's card, give it to them. If not, write down your realtor's name. That sales rep is going to contact your realtor and get some feedback. Trust me, that salesperson wants to sell that house. If you find a house, be sure you contact your realtor that you're interested in pursuing this house and do it that day. While you're there, the sales rep may make you feel like you have to act now or sign a contract because another buyer is coming in later that day to buy that home. Stop and take a breath. Call your realtor. Tip number 2 is understanding the costs involved. Every new construction home site has a sign out on the end of the road that's plastered with something like home starting at $300,000. So you go into the model home, you look around, you find one that you really, really like, but the price of that home is closer to $450,000. Why does that happen? That's because the advertised price out front is the lowest price base model home with no upgrades and no lot premium. So let's talk about these different costs. First, you have the price of the house with no upgrades and no changes in the floor plan. Then you have the lot premium. A lot may or may not be premium. Everyone isn't. A premium lot is one that is considered by the builder to be better than the standard lot. Let's say that the neighborhood you are looking at has a pond or a lake. The lots on the water are going to be considered premium by the builder and will come at a much higher cost versus a non-premium or interior lot. Remember, the better the lot, the higher the premium. So what else could be considered a premium lot? A lot that's on a golf course or one that backs up to a conservation area. It's up to the builder and not usually negotiable. Then you have construction options. Does the builder have options or offer options like a bonus room or an extended master bedroom or turning a living room into a den? These are construction options and should not be confused with cosmetic options like paint colors. I'll go over those next. Every builder has options to the basic floor plan, and choosing these options can really add up some dollars. On the other side, adding some of these options now can be much less expensive than waiting until you have moved into the house. In fact, some options available during constructions are going to be almost impossible after the home is completed and you're in it. Cosmetic options. These are the fun options. Going to the design center is probably the most exciting time of the entire process, outside of closing day, that is. The problem we run into during this stage is sticker shock. Big sticker shock. Design center options add up very quickly. What we try to tell the buyer is to set a budget and stick to it. During this stage, your realtor will work with you to prioritize your wish list and keep you on budget. Some things like faucets and knobs and ceiling fans, they can be installed after closing and usually at a much lesser price. The two areas that I stress to my buyers to concentrate on are the flooring and the kitchen. These two areas can be very expensive and almost impossible to upgrade or repair after you move in. If it's financially feasible, the cost to make your home yours should be rolled into the price of the home. All of these issues will determine the final price of your home. Tip number 3, negotiating with the builder. Builders won't and don't normally negotiate the base price of the home. They have to keep the base price stable. They're selling several of that same model to other people. As long as people are buying their homes, they have no reason to negotiate that base price. However, builders are more likely to negotiate things like credits or closing costs. So instead of asking for a $12,000 reduction in sales price, have your agent ask for a $12,000 credit in closing costs or $12,000 in credit at the design center. Not every builder is going to negotiate a credit. It all depends on how popular their homes are and how they're selling in the neighborhood. It also depends on the time of the month. Later in the month, some builders might be a little more anxious. They have carrying costs involved with that home. They probably wouldn't want to pay them another month. No matter what, it never hurts to ask. You might want to check out inventory homes. Their inventory home is one that's already built and ready to move into or is in some stage of construction. You might have a better chance of negotiating the price on that house. That house has holding costs that the builder would probably rather not pay. It doesn't always work, but you might find the builder more willing to talk about price on an inventory home versus a pre-construction home. Tip number 4, closing costs on new construction homes. Okay, so every builder is different. No matter which builder you use, pay close attention to the closing cost. Most builders in the state of Florida push all of the closing costs except for a few real estate fees and some oddball fees onto the buyer. This can be several $1,000s more than what you might pay buying a pre-existing home. Before you get all worked up about that, most builders offer a rebate to you if you use one of the preferred lenders. The rebate will often cover some or all of the increase in closing costs versus the pre-existing home purchase. Remember, the builder is not giving anything away. Those rebates are hyped as a big savings when really the rebate is just covering the cost or the increased cost you would not had to pay if you were buying a resale home. Let's talk about that preferred lender. Should you really use them? Most of my buyer clients do wind up using the preferred lender for two main reasons. Number one, it's easy. The application is completed at the builder's office. They handle most of the paperwork. They want to close on the house, so they might push it through a little faster. And reason number two is the buyer wants the rebate. That rebate can be substantial. Is it always best? Not necessarily. You're going to have to do some homework. Check out a couple other lenders. See if they're willing to rebate a similar amount and possibly get us secure a lower rate at the same time. It never hurts to ask, so do your due diligence before signing the dotted line. Tip number 5, inspections. Yes, you can and should have an inspection done on any home purchase. New construction is slightly different than a resale, but the inspection stage should not be skipped. If you're building from the ground up, my suggestion is to have 2 inspections done. The first is done at the pre-wall stage. This is after all the wiring, the plumbing, the bug control systems, and the home subsystems have been installed but are still visible. Once that wallboard goes up, they're sealed and will never be seen again. This is a great opportunity for the inspector to make sure it's done and done correctly. If there's a question, it's much easier to fix now than wait until the wallboard's on it. Either ground up or inventory. The second inspection should be done just prior to closing. This is going to be like any other inspection. Checking to make sure that everything functions, that it's all been installed correctly. This inspection will result in a report that can be given to the builder to be added to the final punch list. I realize that the home comes with a splendid warranty and that the builder will come back to adjust and repair any defect for a set number of months. Take it from me, you have much more leverage before closing than you ever will after closing. Not that the builder won't come back and honor the warranty. The question is, on whose time frame will he make those repairs? That builder and his subcontractors are out under pressure to build the next home for the next buyers. Getting them back to a home that has already been closed on and is occupied could be an issue. Let's get the known repairs fixed before closing, not after. Tip number 6, construction time expectations. I had a friend once tell me that I should set reasonable expectations with the target. Most builders try to be reasonable when setting those building timelines. When a builder tells you 4 months to close, that's a goal. In reality, builders don't have an exact time frame. They have a lot of moving parts. Some they control, some they don't. They will have to deal with the materials not being delivered, subcontractors not being on time, permitting issues, and of course, Tampa's weather. There are a lot of things that can cause a delay. Trust me, there is no one in this situation that wants to get to closing more than that builder. They don't make any money until you are in that home. What that means to you is that if you are selling your current home or you have a lease on a home, you might want to consider having a backup plan just in case. If you're leasing, talk to the landlord about going month to month for a few months. You don't need much. If you're selling, ask the buyer about leasing your home back for a couple of months. You shouldn't have to do more than 1 or 2 months. If neither is an option, look into corporate rental and store your belongings in a storage unit. Yeah, I know it's a large pain in the neck. In reality, building delays are bound to happen. Being prepared with a plan up front will relieve some of those pressures. If you absolutely cannot have a delay, look for an inventory home. It will be much easier to pin down a close date on a home that is, almost done. I hope this information has been useful to those out there who are looking at buying a new construction home. If you're looking to, purchase a home here in the Tampa Bay area, please give Paul or me a call. We would love to help you. Thank you for joining me on this video. I appreciate your attention. If you like this video, please click the like button below. Remember, if you're a first-time visitor, please consider subscribing. You just click on the site below, and subscribe does not mean you're paying anything. Click on the notification bell if you would like to be alerted to our next video. I'm Mike Lavoie. Thank you for watching and have a great day.